Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Live in the Session Studio. I am your host, Miss Nikki, and usually we go live on Thursdays. And tonight we're gonna have a great guest for you. She is somebody that I call Sis, or I call her Hey Sis, Hey Shontelle, and she is going to share with you guys how to curate your own home fragrance and candle events from the comfort of your home, or something that you can do at pop-up shops, something you can do in collaboration with another business. And we're going to talk about that more into detail tomorrow. We're going to talk about using other people's spaces so that you guys can cross promote, because now is the tough time for all businesses. But we're going to bring up Shontelle, and we're going to talk about that because a lot of people are seeing the tightening of everything happening. We were talking about on Coffee with Nikki all of the stores that are going out of business. We got Walgreens going out of business. We got H&M. We have Party City. We have 99-cent stores. We have CVS, we got Express. A lot of stores are closing their doors, and a lot of them are restructuring. And so now seeing all of this, and the prices of cocoa butter skyrocketing, because if people use cocoa butter and that's one of the main things that they use in their business, they are going to have a problem, because cocoa butter for a pound now is, and I'm going to keep on saying this the same way I did with citric acid, the cocoa butter is almost $25 a pound for cocoa butter. Is absolutely insane. So I'm going to bring her up and we're going to talk about it. But let me see who's in the building first. And I was just about to say good morning, but I had to catch myself. All right. So we have Sis in the building, and she's first. Jules in the building, CEO and founder of BCMC, the Black Candle Makers Club. Hey, sis. She said, my Aquemini sis. Hey, Chris Marie, how you doing this evening? Thank you so much, Chris Marie. Yes, everybody, hit the like button as soon as you come in. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. And here we go. You guys know her as Latrice of Heartbeat Candle Co. ATL, and I call her cousin. But here in these YouTube streets, we call her the best moderator on what? Earth. The best moderator on Earth's in the building. Hey, cousin. Hey, Jamie. Hey, baby. Every time I say it, I sound West Indian, and not like I have a New Orleans accent, but you know my heart. You know what I'm trying to say. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Melly Mel. Melly Mel's in the building. How you doing? Miss Kim is in the building. She said, hey, lovelies, turning a side eye at the J-O-B so I could be here. Okay. All right, I hear that. Hey, Martini, how are you doing this evening? Hey, Big Meech. Big Meech said good evening. Hey, Lakeisha Keisha. Lakeisha Keisha said, make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Thank you. Please take this live out and share it everywhere. Please, you do not want to miss this, especially because I'm telling you guys, I said I need a t-shirt that says Pivot and Adapt. This is exactly the thing we need to do right now in this day and age. So let's get it together. Share this video out. Hey, Yolanda. Good evening, Yolanda. Hey, Queenie. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, Miss Lois. Good evening. I was not pressing everybody. Hey, Michelle. Michelle said, good evening, everyone. Hey, cousin. I still love you. I still love you too. Hello, Greater Calvary Baptist Church. Let's get it. Let's go. I'm working on the t-shirt. Yes. Everybody take this out. Share it with everybody you know. Okay, so she is the founder and CEO of Fluorescence, and she is my sis, my good Judy, my good everything, and I absolutely love her. You guys know her in these sheets. You don't know her in these sheets. Pause. In these streets, you know her as Hey Sis, Hey Shontelle, and I am about to bring her up, and she's going to tell you guys how you can pivot in this economy, utilizing, curating your own home fragrance and candle events. So let me bring her up. You guys give her a warm applause, and I'm going to find my applause so I can give it to her. To my good sis, my good Judy, Miss Shontelle Flowers.
I love the applause. I love the applause. I love it. I love it. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. We usually don't see you on this side We do for BCMC, but not in the mornings or anything. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, very well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite. As always, you know, you my girl, my sis. Love you down, and I'm happy to be here. Hey, Jules. Hey, sis. I'm so happy to be here with all of the Bubble Babes and the BCMC tribe.
Right. And I said, we're basically one tribe. We're basically EBU and BCMC.
Right. I'm just like, we all together.
We're together. We're like this. Like
we are.
And I absolutely love that. I love the sisterhood that we have amongst each other. And we met and we just kind of got together, and it's just like we were family, and we just stuck like Chuck ever since.
Yep. It's been we've gone on tour with Jules together.
Hello. Right.
We've done it all. So
we've been everywhere, been doing everything. And so tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, Fluorescence is my candle and home fragrance company that I started being a professional woman who was working in corporate, who was very stressed. I was the only Black woman on my team, only Black woman pretty much in my department, overlooked, undervalued, just all the things. And so I would be at work just unhappy. I would look forward to going home for a couple of reasons. I'm an introvert, so of course I like being in my space. But then there was also that I want to get away from here, and I have to be here because I need to pay my bills. I went to school for this, so I need to be here. Not need, but I'm here.
Right.
And so I found out and I realized that my home is like my safe space. And then later on, I would say a couple of years after I graduated from my master's program, I started making candles. And one of my family members, she's crafty. She was like, well, I made this candle at a candle making class, blah, blah, blah. So I took it up as a hobby. And then people started wanting my candles as gifts. And I started being invited to shows. So my brand is it is for the professional woman.
Cut that basic out of there.
I was like, let me tell you, I got to be careful of the language. I'm really mindful of the language that I use. It's for the woman who wears many hats, the professional woman like me. You have so many things. You're an auntie mom. You're a sister. You got girlfriends. You are a wife. You're part. Whatever you are, you have a lot going on, and your home is your safe space. And you want to be able to relax, and you want to get back to yourself and have that me time. That just your zen. Your house is your zen, and that's what I really want Fluorescence to be, is your zen, where you find your zen.
And so when did you, because I know tonight we're going to be talking about curating your own events and things like that. How did you even start doing that?
Well, I will tell you.
I'm so glad that you asked.
I was thinking, as I was thinking about this topic, I was like, actually, I started curating events way back in 2000. I want to say 2006, 2007, around that time. Me and my cousins, we thought we was doing something, event planning, throwing parties. And so we were the one of few women-led event, I guess, planning businesses that were out there here in Minnesota. And so we thought we was doing something. So we started reaching out to restaurants that we liked. We had eaten there before. And so we were like, well, let's see if we can do an event with them. And so I actually realized that my event planning started way back in 2006. It didn't start with just Fluorescence. And it was something that I like planning things. I like being in the process. I like seeing things from start to finish. And so event planning for me is something that there's parts of it that I do not like doing, but it's very rewarding. I feel like it's a very rewarding thing when you can see something that starts with a vision or in your mind, and then you see it just come to fruition, and you see how people respond to it, and you see how people love it, and they're sending you emails and text messages about how much fun they had. So that's how I started, actually, with planning parties back when I was in these streets.
Okay, in these streets.
I was like, well, let's just have our own parties, because we were going to parties and we're like, it ain't really given. Let's start doing our own thing.
Did you say they're not like us?
Well, too bad that's on that thing, because
I should have had that here.
So yeah, that's how it really started for me, was just the whole, just seeing what you seeing what you want to see that you don't see. Being, I always say, being the change that you want to see. That's how I look at event planning now for Fluorescence.
And that's really good. So now, do you do that now with the way business is now, or you're kind of like maybe occasionally you'll do it? How do you
Oh yeah. So I haven't done events in a while because a lot of my time has been split up between trying to figure out get Fluorescence in order. BCFC, that's that's a endeavor that I truly enjoy being a part of, and also then being, like I said, I'm an auntie mom too, so I haven't been able to plan events like I want, but I do plan on for the fall, winter time when everyone's kind of down and it's chill. I can start doing virtual events because here in Minnesota it gets cold quick. It gets cold about October. Everyone goes into hibernation, and they still want things to do, because here, if you plan an event, you don't know if it's going to be a snowstorm that day. Nobody's going to show up. So it's just easier to do virtual. And I think people really enjoy having that access without having to leave their home during the cold winter months. So I will be planning on doing some fall, winter events soon.
Nice. Now, you said before that you and your cousin, you guys were collaborating with other businesses. How important do you think that is for people to collaborate, especially now, to collaborate with other business owners that actually have the space?
I think it's very important because you are merging two audiences that can help. You're helping, you're building community, and you're also helping you guys are helping each other. So that person's bringing their audience over to you, and then you're bringing their audience over to them. So you're cross promoting in a way. You're kind of like, okay, if I'm having this candle making class and this person is, they have a wine bar, they're going to advertise the event most likely and try to get their people to come. They're going to have it on their, wherever they post announcements. And then also we're going to, I'm going to be highlighting their business. And I think because so many businesses are also closing their doors, it's important that we merge our businesses together to help each other stay afloat and to keep pushing forward, because people are like, it's kind of scary. Sometimes to me, it's kind of scary when I see like every time I get on social media and I'm like, oh, they're closing. I think I saw CVS is closing 900 of their locations. And so I know a lot of times what people tend to do, when I know they tend to merge when we ain't, we kind of need your help and you need our help. Let's just go ahead and merge together.
Right.
And that's how you, like I said, I think one thing I love about it is you're building a community together, and you're also helping each other by supporting. You're supporting my candle making class, I'm supporting your business, and we can keep this thing going if we, keep working together. That's how I feel about working with other businesses, because when you try to do it alone, it becomes a lot of work. And if I'm trying to host an event and I want someone, like for instance, if I'm hosting a candle making class and I want to have food there, have it at this person's space. They have the food. You don't have to worry about that. They can go ahead and just, hey, Melissa, they can go ahead and you got the food over there. So you don't even have to worry about that. And so it's easier to plan events when you're working with other people as well, because it can be very stressful planning your events. I say it like it's, oh, plan your own event, but it's like, it's work involved in it, and you need to have access. And that's why I was going to also say this too. Networking is very important, because you get to find out what people, you don't know, if you don't network, like, slow down.
Be like me and have your thoughts all over the place. Like,
I have a lot to say about this. It's important to network, because if you want to plan an event, or not just planning events, but in business, people have resources that you may need. And if you don't know that they have them, how are you going to get them? So for the introverts, my introvert tribe, those of us who like to hide behind that, we're missing out. Now I'm taking myself out of it, because I decided I wasn't gonna, you have to learn how to pivot your introversion and know when to use it and when you need to like get out of it. So for me, it's like we have to be able to network too, so you know what kind of resources are out there for you, so you can have these events and know who to go to.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, people when they frequent, restaurants and things like that, they don't really. I mean, not support, but they don't go and introduce themselves
Mhm,
and say,
mhm,
"May I put some flyers in here? Can I leave some business cards?"
mhm,
Because
mhm,
those are the connections that's going to be lasting connections.
mhm.
I shared the
Yep.
fact that I used to. There's a deli that's kind of like a restaurant.
Mhm,
And I would collaborate with them because I would be bringing them customers, and they would not even mind bending over backwards and keeping the doors open past the time that past their time. They
mhm.
would stay open for me.
Yep,
They said, "How long you need me to stay open?"
yep,
Because they're still doing business.
yep,
Because when that business dies down, these customers are going to keep on coming back. They're going to remember,
yep,
how good they were or whatever. And
yep.
so, in your local areas, do
Mhm,
you think that's one of the things that people should start? I mean, as entrepreneurs, should
mhm.
start introducing themselves?
Yep. I don't even do this enough like I should be, is to go out and definitely make yourself known to your local, especially the people that have complimentary products to you. So like I said, if you know that there's someone here, if you're trying to, we all make candles or some type of skincare product or something. And I think it's important to be known in your community so that way if sometimes people want to come to you for a resource too. If they know that you make candles. I had someone come to me the other day and she was like, do you still make candles? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I want to give my daughter's dance team some candles for her
Mhm.
to give to her dance team as gifts. And so I think it's, to me, it's, and I usually be like trying to hide in the shadows, but I'm like, you have to be out there because people are looking for resources and looking for you. And the same way, it's like I said, being known and networking, being out there so people can see, hey, I got, you need an event space? I have an event space down the street. I know the person that owns it. We can give it to you for, because event spaces are very expensive. When you do it on your
Very.
own, I learned that too. They're expensive. And if you're trying to make a profit off of event making, event planning, or doing your own events, the event space is going to take a lot of your budget. It's going
Okay.
to take a lot of your budget. So there's that. But I agree. I think it's very much a necessity now. I think it's a necessity that you are out here in your local area being known and meeting other businesses so you guys can start to collaborate and work together for future endeavors. Because we just never know. We just see things are just turning, and it's just good to be in a good space where you have some people in your network that you can turn to when things are, you know, when you need something. And not just because you need something, but just to have that connection. You just want to
Yes.
have connections with people.
Right. Because if you think about it, somebody always told me you got to be your local hero first.
Hmm.
Before you try to branch out and be worldwide or whatever, you got to start locally first. Now,
Hmm.
because everybody in your town or wherever you live, they're going to celebrate. Everybody's going to need something to do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And you don't always have to leave where you are to go do something in a place that's popping. Like you don't have to leave. Where are we in Minnesota?
I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota.
St. Paul. Is that small? Because
It's
out here in Dingman's, I'm small. It's small.
Minnesota's. It's not Minneapolis. Is kind of like the most. Everybody kind of like knows us for Minneapolis. That's the bigger
Yes.
city, but yeah, we're small.
And so you don't have to leave there to go out to where the action is to plan an event. You can do your
Hmm.
event right where you are.
Yep. Yep.
And I absolutely love that. And I also love the fact that you said about the overhead,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
if you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to
Hmm.
worry about the rental space, you don't
Hmm.
even have to worry about tables and chairs
Hmm.
because all of that is taken care of for you there.
Yep.
You just have to utilize
Yep.
what you have, which is
Yep.
your mouth and your
Yep.
gift of gab,
Yep.
and let people know that you exist because
Hmm.
people will support you. A lot of the times we like to say people don't support,
They
but they
will.
don't support because you don't open your mouth.
Yep. Yep, that's very true, and that's why I said for the introverts who we can't hide behind that anymore, because if you want to have a thriving business, you have to know how to manage your interest. Nobody's saying change who you are, but you have to learn how to manage your interest, being an introvert, you have to manage that and be able to know how, you have to be able to know how to, when to talk. And case in point, at the conference, Malaysia told everyone to turn to the person next to them and give their business pitch. You just never know when you're going to be in a position where you have to talk about your business and tell people. And that's something you'll have to do when you plan events as well. If you want to collaborate with a winery, or if you want to collaborate with a restaurant, if you want to collaborate with whoever, you have to be able to talk about your business, tell them why you want to collaborate with them. Because I'll tell you, when we were planning events back in my party days, the company the restaurant that we went to, they were reluctant because they had never done anything like that. And there's risk involved for them, because they're like, okay, if we shut down our Saturday day for your private event, we want to make sure that we're going to make the money. So they're like, well, you have to buy a certain amount of drinks, you got to do all that. And we know that because we were just planning an event. Yeah. So things like that go into it, and we had to be able to convince them as to why they need to take a bet on us. And of course, when we did it, we did like 3 events at that restaurant. And they were like, oh my God, we just love the fact, so that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that you took a chance on us, and you see what happened. You see what we did. So, yeah.
And that's definitely the truth, especially once they see that the people that came and, did the event with you guys, they start coming back and they become their customers. Then it looks even better for you, because they're like, oh, sure, whenever you want to do anything, just let me know.
Yep. They love that. And they love, like you said, you're bringing me, I'm bringing you customers, and then the people that are being exposed to my brand now are going to be looking into me. Chris, we're approaching, believe it or not, we're approaching holiday season. People are already starting to plan for Black Friday. So when you have these events, people might be looking for gifts, and they're like, okay, I remember that one girl that was there with the candles, and she was selling them, and I'm going to buy some candles for her for Christmas. So that's how,
And so also I want to ask, when you do when you host your events, like if you do it in person, do you also bring your candles to sell as well?
Yep. I definitely bring my own products, because people are looking for that. If they know you for that, they're definitely looking for your product. They're looking for you to bring that because they want to buy it. And later on, I'll talk about the first event, my test event that I did, because I know that's how you want to that's why I say do your own events, because when you go to these other markets, and I'm not saying totally abandoned markets, but when you go to markets and you have your product sitting there and you're not selling anything, you kind of feels like it defeats the purpose of getting all this preparation done. You prepped all the night before. You might have prepped the day of too, trying to pack everything together, and you feel like, okay, I've done all this work, and now I'm sitting here with all my products, and they're just sitting here. When you have your own events and you have your stuff there, most of the time the people are there for your stuff, and they're going to most likely leave with something. Like Denzel, I'm leaving here with something.
I'm leaving here with something. I'm from around the way.
They're going to want your candle. They're going to want your scrub. They're going to want something from you. They're going to want to leave with something. So that's why I strongly encourage the event piece, because a lot of the times the people that are coming to these markets don't necessarily know you. They're taking a chance on you. Excuse me. And they want to be, they're low risk. They're most likely low risk customers that do not want to spend a lot of money on someone that they're not familiar with their products. And so I feel like when you have your own events, you have your own stuff there, and people are going to I'm telling you, you're going to need somebody to help I had to have somebody, can you take the payments while I do the rest of it? And that's another thing I've learned too, is about doing it by myself.
Right. So I know Yas just asked a question, did she miss the virtual part? You did not. So how could they do this virtually?
Virtually, so I'll tell you, and I want to say this too. The PowerPoint, I was going to get a PowerPoint together, but I am going to still create one, and I'm going to send it to Nikki to give to you guys. So I definitely want to do my due diligence, but it's been a interesting last couple of weeks. So, but I still want to be able, I still can convey the message to you guys. So make sure you're taking notes, and then I'll follow up with the PowerPoint later on this week. So, virtual. So this was during COVID. The place that I normally would go to host the event, the actual space. I live in a suburb. It's like suburb / city part. It's like the cusp of St. Paul. So we have parks, and they have different houses. They look like little houses, but they're actually event rooms that you can have events in space. They're really nice too. So you can have your events in those spaces. So they closed down, of course, because of COVID. And so I was like, well, everyone's at home, and it will get dark. You know, it gets dark at 5 o'clock in the fall. And I'm like, it's dark outside. And I'm just like, people start to get, and I know there's scientific like studies that have shown like when it's dark for a long period of time, people start feeling a little depressed. And I'm like, we have to do something about this. So what I decided to do was I did an event on Zoom. So basically what it was is I did an Eventbrite. That's what the Eventbrite's the ticket. Yep, Eventbrite. Mm-hmm. And you have your tickets. I sold the tickets on there. And what I did was it was my first aromatherapy like blending class. So basically what you're doing is you're making perfume roll-ons of they're like perfume oils, but they're essential oils. And so what I did, I had each person on the event, I had each person tell me what scents or what essential oils they typically gravitate to. So you got your fragrance families, you got your fruity, citrus, and all that kind of stuff. So they told me, and what I did was I included all that in the price of the ticket. So I picked all their oils, and then I mailed them out to them so they would have them before the event. Mm-hmm. So you just create a Zoom link, and you send the Zoom link over to them, and then they know. And then I kept that. Make sure you send the Zoom link to them like a little bit before the event, because you don't want people sharing it. So that's how I did it. I did it with there's steps to it. And like I said, I'll definitely lay this out in the PowerPoint. I do apologize for that because I think it's easier when people can see it. Mm-hmm. But basically, you just create a Zoom link and you send it out to your participants and you let them know exactly. And you just start teaching them how to make their fragrances. And so the reason why I was able to do that, because I did my first event with perfumes. So I did a perfume bar where I had people do, you basically do a perfume roll on. And I'll show you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to get up real quick. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. So like this. So they're just going to make their own perfume roll on. Mm-hmm. And I had about 12 cents.
I'm about to put those in my
in your yes, your school. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you have about 12 fragrances, no more than 12. You don't want to have too many, because when you have too many, people start to go crazy. It does something to them. And I don't mean to call people kids, but it's almost like kids in the candy store when they see all these things laid out, because they're excited. So
they're overstimulated.
They're very stimulated, and they have all these things laid out. And you have to make sure that you keep things, condensed, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And I also strongly advise that you have someone there to help you. So yes, for those of you who want to do virtual events, set up an Eventbrite, and you can do it however you want to do it. If you want to do it where, I don't know if you're doing, to me, it was easier to do fragrances like this, something simple, because when you do, I know Jazz did this too in Atlanta. She had a candle making class. She mailed all the materials out to them before the event. And then those who were on virtual, I think they made them online too. So you can do it however you want. And then basically you're just in front of the camera and you're instructing them step by step on how to make said product. So if you want to do candles, if you want to do roll-ons, I suggest, if you are a skincare girl, if you make skincare products, start with something simple, like a perfume roll-on, or do like a body scrub, or do like a skincare body butter or something like that, where people can easily just scent it and keep it moving. But the fun part is them actually designing their own fragrances, which I think is a lot of fun. So I know we're kind of getting towards the end of summer, and I don't know if people are going to be doing events. If you're going to be doing your own event between now and winter time, but definitely if you're a skincare girl, do something like that. That's easy. All you have to do is mix the oils with the fragrance oils with the carrier oils, and you're good to go. The the most of the work is on the attendees, the guests. They're doing all the work because they're just designing stuff, and a lot of them want to create. They want to replicate their own perfumes, and I'm like, y'all, your own perfumes. There are people hired to do this. They are hired to design proprietary formulas to get this specific fragrance to pop the way it does. So this little thing right here is not, you can try, but
but you didn't create the scent.
That's the fun part, because they try to mimic their favorite colognes or perfumes, which I think is really, it's cute, but it's like, y'all, I have to let them know. I can smell like Gucci Bloom.
Okay. Like this may even be similar, but it's not gonna be that. Okay, so I know Yas says virtual candle making sounds stressful, but if you give them everything that they need, they don't have to go buy anything. If you create a kit, you give them the right amount of wax, the right amount of fragrance, with the tin and instructions, and whatever you want to do, it's not going to be stressful because they got to do exactly what the instructions say, right?
And they're following you, so you have to make sure that you are on top of everything and you know what you're talking about. So they're following you, and you want to make sure, and that's why you want to keep your class small. You don't want to have 50 people on a virtual. I mean, you can, but I don't want to tell people what they can't do. But it's best for your first event to keep things small and do a test run. And that was going to be the first thing I was going to talk about, is doing test runs. One of the things I did was, when I first decided I wanted to do events with like products, I did a test run. Evite was like the thing then. It was.
I remember Evites.
Everybody was sending Evites. So Evites were the thing. And what I did was I sent a cute Evite to my family and friends. I said, this is a private event. I'm hosting a sip and scent. You're going to make your own perfumes. And when people see stuff like that, it's so personal. It's exclusive.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of people like fragrance, like perfumes and colognes and stuff like that. So you're already getting them in just by saying that. And so I said, okay, come to I have a party room in my building. So come to this address, and I invited about, it was like 10, 15 of, no, it was more than 10. And then I had,
you didn't have a small event.
No, I did not. Well, see, one of my family members, she said, oh, we didn't see that it said private. So she invited more family members. So I had to explain myself. I was like, well, I wasn't trying to keep y'all away. I wasn't trying not to invite y'all. I just thought the people that came to mind that I figured, and a lot of these people are people that probably have supported you before. I know a lot of people say, well, my family and friends don't support me. You have family and friends who have supported you. Invite those people, because they're going to be the first ones to come, and they're going to give you feedback about your event and tell you what they liked and what they didn't. Hey, you can do better on this. My mom's like, when I
your mom's my mom.
Yep, she's gonna tell you. Be like, I didn't ask you, but they're gonna give it to you anyway. Okay, next time you need to. I'm like, all right, but I listen, because I'm like, I know my mom knows what she's talking about. But yeah, so it doesn't have to be stressful, unless you're not prepared. And if you don't know what you're talking about, that's the only way it's going to be stressful. Now, sometimes it can be stressful because you're nervous and you have to present and you have to talk about what's happening. But after you do a few, like I said, do that test run with your people, and you can do 3 friends. You can do 4. You can do 5. Hey, y'all, I want to see how this will go from beginning to end on how to create a perfume roll on. I want to do from beginning to end how to do skincare, all of those things. So you want to make sure your test run is going to be very important, because it's going to show you where the snags are, where you need to improve, what you need to do differently. And then when you do your first one, you kind of like, all right, I kind of got this, I did a test run. So.
Okay. All right. So we do have some questions. Do you want to talk about what you're going to talk about first, or do you want to answer questions first?
It's up to you. We can keep talking about. Well, we can answer the questions now, because I know some people. There's some questions I'm seeing here on my end. So, Nikki, I don't. How many attendees do you recommend? I recommend no more than 10. Make 12 at 12 max. 12.
She had 25. No, I'm just joking.
I had a space, and then I had, like I said, I had people that were invited outside of the, but for your actual one, I would say no more than 12. If when you do but you can do, like I said, for mine, I had more. I had about 20 people all together, and you're just. But if you're doing candles, you're most likely doing candles, Kim. So, I would say for candles, no more than 12, because I've done a candle making event, and it can get really. Now that's where it can get stressful, because candles are a lot different than skincare. Candles are, you're dealing with hot wax, you're dealing with excited adults.
Temperatures.
They have questions. They don't want to mess up, you guys. They don't want to mess up. I'm telling you, when you do these events, they don't want to mess up. Your attendees do not want to mess this up. They want to do it exactly like you would do it. So you have to make sure you walk them through the process. You're clear, and that you are able to articulate to them what they need to do. You have to tell them what to do every step of the way, because again, they're like kids in a candy store. They're excited. Some of them are not even paying attention. They're knocking stuff over, and that,
especially if they had a sip.
Yep. Well, the venue that I use, they wouldn't let us have alcohol, so we couldn't. So thankfully, because they're gonna be knocking stuff over. I've had spills, and that brings me to the point too. Just a caveat into that: bring extra, because you don't want to bring, if you're having an event for 12 people, don't bring just enough for 12. Bring enough for 15 people, because you're going to have spills. You're going to have people that you're just going to be prepared for any kind of accidents that might happen, or things that, just out of your control. Because the last thing you want to happen is you bring just enough for 12. Somebody knocks something over and break. I had people break things, and you're like, well, I only brought 12. And so now you're looking crazy because you don't have any replacements for anything. And you don't want your event to leave, like, your event can go well up until that point, and guess what people are going to do? I had a lot of fun, but she didn't have enough food. She ran out of supplies. She didn't have a label, so I couldn't put a label on my stuff. So that's what they're going to say. And you don't want your event, especially your first one. You don't want any of your events, but you definitely don't want your first one to be where people are talking about it because you wasn't prepared, or you just brought just enough.
Right.
So don't bring just enough. Please do not bring just enough. Bring extra. So yes, back to your question. 12 at the most for virtual. I would do 12 at the most, and make sure you price it to where you're paying yourself. And your first couple of events, you may not necessarily pay yourself, but price your tickets to where if you are sending, you can decide on whether or not you want them to purchase their products. You can give them an Amazon link. But what I would recommend is you buy the materials and send it out to them, and you just add that into your price. Add it into your price, so that way you can just mail it out to them. And they like that too, because it's personalized. She mailed it out to me. It comes in a kit. And there are people online on Etsy, I know, that sell they sell kits like this, and they mail them out to you. So why can't you? So you can do it too. Organize your stuff, get their scents in there. And I know a lot of us have extra fragrance oils we're not using. Take them fragrance oils and send it out to them, and find out what scent fragrance families they like. And okay, they like coconut, and they like, okay, so I got some stuff here. You can just pick it out, send it to them, and then they get it before the event. Make sure you mail it out before your event, at least 1 to 2 weeks before your event, so they have all their stuff before. Because with the mail, you just never know. You want everyone to, you want them to have a good experience, and you don't want to do mess ups.
So, like, if you make candles, what would be like, because candles may be a little difficult. Again, temperatures, fragrance, all of that, right? So, glass. What would you suggest if you're a candle maker? What is something simpler that they can do in lieu of doing a candle?
Ooh, if they're a candle maker, and instead of making a candle, that's a good question. Maybe a candle, you could do wax melts, but I don't know if you're still working with hot wax, but it's easier because you don't have to wait for it it's not going to take as long to settle or to solidify. I'm trying to think though. Wax melt. Someone said wax melt. I would do a wax melt, or do a smaller size when I did my first candle making class, I did like a small, it's like a 4 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do like the 8 ounces, and I'm like, you're gonna be there forever with that. Or make sure you allot enough time for it to solidify.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would do is I would do a wax melt or do a smaller, like a small tin candle, just enough for it, because 10 candles don't take about 30 minutes for those to solidify.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do before if you don't want to do it like a full-fledged candle class, because it's easy and it doesn't take a lot of time to do that. So yeah.
And I would actually, to kind of piggyback off of that, because that's what we say all the time, but to piggyback off of that, I would suggest that if you're going to do something with the larger candles, kind of save that for people who want to become candle makers, which means your ticket price can go up even higher.
You hear Shan said she charged $1,500 for her candle making classes, her master
and she
class.
woke up from a dream and said $1,500. That's how much you want to charge.
And didn't nobody say nothing. They paid it, or either they paid it or they didn't. So definitely, yeah, I would say start small. Start small. You do not have to, because I'm telling you, you're gonna stress yourself out more if you do these grand things on your first event. Because when you do when you scale up and you start doing bigger things, you want to have people there that can help you. My mom, she's been really good with helping me. One of my cousins, she was helping me. Because I like to do like the whole food. I like to get food. I like to do gift bags. I like to do it big. And I think I saw a question where someone said something about packaging gifts or something like that.
But don't get there yet, because we in order. We in order. The next one is how long? We in order over here.
Yes, ma'am. So yes. So make sure. What was I saying? See, now I forgot what I was saying. Make sure
to do it big.
Yeah, do it on a smaller scale. Your first few events, because you want to make sure that the smaller the scale, the lower the risk and the stresses that you're going to have. Because what's going to happen is your first event, people are excited and they go see. They're waiting to see. They're like, "What's she going to do? Like, what is she?" And I'm not going to say they wait for you to mess up. But any mess up is going to definitely, they'll give you grace, but it's going to stick out. So make sure you start on a smaller scale and practice what you're going to say, practice what you're going to, your lineup, your agenda, all that stuff. So I think that was pretty much all I had to say on that one.
And I would like to also ask, what kind of language do you think that you should have? Because we like to get once we know something, we want to be the expert and we want to speak in that language. But we don't have experts making these candles at these workshops. So how do you suggest that people approach it?
Definitely use layman's terms. And I know people say, explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I don't want to like insult anyone's intelligence, but any candle terms, cold throw, hot throw, any of those terms, do not use those unless you explain it to them. Now, if you want to explain it to them so they can increase their candle making vocabulary, by all means do that. But explain it to them in a way, if you're going to use those candle terms, explain it to them and explain it clearly. Do not use a lot of big words. And, your scent throw is the amount of fragrance that illuminates out of the air. And you don't have to do all that. Just tell them how a candle smells when it's not lit.
That's right. It smells good. That's it.
Yeah. Right. So
there you go.
So yes, definitely explain it as if you're having a conversation with them. And again, these are people who most likely have not made a candle before. They have not made a skincare product before. They haven't done any of these things before. So you want to make sure that you're explaining to them clearly and you're not using a lot of industry jargon. Just use regular conversation and just be able to convert that, whatever that jargon is, into like layman's terms.
So Tracy wants to know, how long does a virtual class last?
I would say no more than 2 hours. You don't want it to last all night unless you have like a lot of fillers, like games. Kind of like what Nikki does for her live sales. She has games. She has, where people are talking and engaging and stuff like that. The only thing with a lot of virtual classes, many instances, everyone doesn't know each other. So you're going to have to do not a lot. icebreakers are fine, but I would say the class should be no more than 2 hours at most. And that starts from your introduction to you talking about what they're going to do, explaining to them what they're going to do, and them actually doing it. It might go to 2.5 hours. It really depends. I can't remember exactly the timing of my virtual event. That one probably was between 2 and 2, and I think that one was probably 2.5 hours. And that's just because we were, it's a little different online than it is in person, because when you're in person, you get to go over to them and help them.
Right.
Which happens a lot. People are going, hey, what did you say we're supposed to do again? And how do I? And then so you can just walk over to them. But when you're virtual, they will ask questions, and you have to be able to explain it to them, because you can't really go over there and show them. You have to be able to explain it so that they get it, and that they ain't, out there like, oh, she said put two ounces in here, but I think I might have put, I don't know what I did. So
right.
That's the downside of it. Yes.
Yep, that is. Like, what do you mean you don't know? So we have another question here from Tracy. She says, what are you using to package the items to send to guests?
I send the those book, they're like this. I have something in here, but they're like the cardboard boxes. I have my card diffuser things in. They're like little boxes like this. And then I put them in the mail. I put them in a box in the mail with the postage, and I put the postage, all that stuff is going to be in the cost of the ticket. So you're going to make sure that you count up your cost of the event to make sure that it reflects in the ticket price. So if you're charging $55 for a ticket, you need to make sure that your event is $55 worth, and you need to make sure that it reflects that. So I don't believe in charging people stuff just because it sounds good. Just because you heard Shan say she charges $1,500, do not go charging $1,500 for a candle class that you just started. So she's vetted. She's been in the industry for a long time. So let's make sure that we're understanding that before we, because I know it's exciting and it sounds good, and especially when we see people that we admire doing it. We want to be like them, and we want to get to that level, but also make sure that you have to know your target audience. Can your audience pay $1,500, and are you vetted enough for them to even want to pay $1,500 for a candle making class? So
right, and so the experience definitely has to match the price point.
Make sure you do that.
So Ms. Quell says, this may be a long shot, but I'm going to ask, would you do a class that would help on how to set up the virtual class? Like, how are we supposed to make sure that they're melting their wax correctly and things like that?
What I've been
on her PowerPoints.
I know Nikki's gonna. I know, y'all. Please forgive me. I know better, but yeah. Would I be willing? Are you asking me? Would I be willing to teach that, or would you do a class on how to set up? Yeah, I could. If you want me to do a class, I could definitely show you how to set up your virtual class on how to. I did a candle making class back in was it last summer? And it was at a church, you guys. So it was. So the setup was a little different. But yeah, it worked out. It worked out. I have pictures. I'm gonna show some. I have pictures, you guys. I told you I'm gonna send the PowerPoint. I just working on this one. I'm gonna send you the PowerPoint, you guys. I got you. But yeah, I would definitely do that. Yes, you can purchase. Yep, I guess you would purchase the 1 ounce samples of FO to send. Yes, you can do that. Or if you have fragrance oils, you can also send them. You can send them in like the amber bottles. You can send them in like amber bottles, or you can send them in like a glass bottle. I would recommend glass opposed to plastic, because fragrance oil can leak through plastic in transit, especially during the hotter months. But it just leaks, and you just don't want people to have a mess. So I would do glass and make sure it's wrapped up really well around the cap part. So, yeah. So yeah. And if you have, I know a lot of people have fragrance oils just laying around that you can use. So I wouldn't buy anything extra until I had an actual, you know, if you have fragrance oils that you're not using and you know you don't want them, put those in your boxes for your attendees.
Yeah, especially if you have like 16 ounces or those big jugs, you're not going
Mhm.
to use them. You know that you're
Mhm.
not going to use that scent anymore, or you know,
Mhm.
you could
Mhm.
definitely do that.
Mhm.
Jules says she would recommend creating a waiver of liability for each one to sign.
Yes. Yep. And I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And now that she said that, I'm gonna have to do to be janky. Yeah, something else. Yes, I didn't do that. And going forward, I will definitely do that because if someone, especially when you're working with fragrance oils, people have allergies. Sometimes people don't know that they have allergies. But what I did do was I use a coconut. One of my carrier oils for the fragrance oils for these. One of my fragrance oils, the carrier oils I used was coconut oil, and I said, well, I know some people are allergic to coconut, so I went with the more neutral oil, which was avocado oil, or I use fractionated coconut oil, which I think that's where the fat of the coconut oil, the fatty part of the coconut oil is removed. So I don't think that was, but I decided to steer totally away from that and just do avocado oil because avocado oil tends to be better with not triggering allergies from like coconut oil does. So that's one thing I did learn to prevent anyone saying, and I did ask, I was like, is anyone allergic to coconut oil? Because if you are, let me know. Because I don't want somebody coming there and they start breaking out. That room was the experience for them. They done paid this money, and now you over here like they
Drilled out.
breaking out. Yeah, they can't do the rest of the thing because now you know. So if you're doing that, if you're doing any kind of skincare, make sure the people are aware that of what you're using, and they don't, like Jules said, that was great advice, so that they're not using something that could potentially break them out, and then worst case scenario, they have to go to the hospital or anything like that. So.
Right. So Yas wants to know if you don't make perfume, but want to make them for the class. What if you don't make perfume, but you want to make it for the class? You could do just like she did.
Yep, I see what you're saying. At the time, I wasn't making perfume. When I did my first perfume thing, I wasn't making perfume. I just went online and figured out how to do it. So basically, what you're gonna do is, and I'll show that too in the PowerPoint, is that you're gonna just, I'll give you the instructions and the formula on how to
Not
do it
the
yourself.
drops.
Y'all, she's not gonna let me live that down.
Ever.
That was a real recipe that I had.
It was not a real recipe.
And how I calculate my room spray recipe, and I gave the BCMC team. This was years ago, and I said you're gonna put 30 drops of X amount of X fragrance, and Nikki wasn't having it. She said I gave her a janky recipe.
Indeed. I said drops.
Yep.
Who's making this stuff?
I was vindicated because somebody else said that they did the same thing. I was vindicated a little bit.
I'm gonna need you to measure out these drops and tell me how many ounces or abilities or grams, whatever you want to measure this in. I'm gonna need you to weigh that out first and then tell me this recipe. Don't tell me 30 drops.
She said, yeah, it was 30 drops. It was 30 drops, y'all.
That's how
I kept track. I was like, I did convert it to like, I think ounces or teaspoons or something like that, but it just, the 30 drops, I don't know, I was just stuck on that. But yes, if you don't want to make perfume, it's a very easy process, and I will put that in the PowerPoint as well on how to actually do it. It's very easy. Very easy. All you got to do is pretty much get your carrier oil, the percentage on how to do the carrier oil versus to the ratio for carrier oil to the fragrance oil. And then you're going to have those already prepared in your bottles.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have like I said, no more than 12. And you're going to have your guests. They're just going to pick the fragrances that they like. You're going to have them all like in a little circle. And they're just going to pick the fragrances that they like. And they're going to make their sense from it. And it's a really fun, like when you see how people interact and how they get kind of competitive too. They get kind of competitive because they'll see, oh, this person, they got their scent. And then some people have a hard time because they don't like what they've mixed. And that's why I said always have extra, because people are going to, if they don't like, you want people to leave with liking what they make. Mm-hmm. So one of the things, and I know sometimes you're thinking, oh, that's fragrance oil that's been wasted. They don't waste a whole lot. I always tell people, get you a small, I have vials and all that stuff prepared for them to do like testing, test fragrances. And then once they figure out, okay, I like this, and then they can put the real one in, so they're not going to be wasting so much product. So back to yeah, definitely. If you have, I wouldn't say, now if you're making candles, I would say stick to what you know. I know a lot of people, if you have a candle wax that you normally use and you know very well, that's good. But someone told me, and they gave me some really good advice about candle making classes, get a wax that solidifies, is a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of it, that solidifies quickly, because you don't want to, I know 464 takes forever to solidify. But like you have your apricot, coconut ones, those they solidify very quickly. So what I would suggest for you, if you want to do a candle making class, get a wax, research a wax that is quick, that solidifies quickly. And you don't have to only thing with that is that you do have to test those. I always admonish people to test, because you don't want to get a wax. And then, so if you do want to do that, if you absolutely want to get a wax, if you're concerned about time and you want to make sure the wax solidifies quickly, I would say research those waxes, test them, get your research up, get your testing game up, and test it out, and then use that particular wax. Because like I said, with 464, it takes a long time, but then in that case, you just get a smaller version of it, so it doesn't take as long. And I know that was a lot, but definitely, if you're for the candle makers out there, if you do have if that's what you want to do is candles, and you can use what you're having, right? What you use currently, or if you want to get a wax that is quicker to solidify, so that way people can be in and out, I would suggest that as an alternative as well. You don't have to do that, but I know a lot of times when you're on a time restraint, if you can only have that venue for 2 hours, you want to make sure that you're in there and out, and they have a product they can take home. So.
Now, I just thought about something when you were speaking about doing the kits, right? Do you think that if, like you're doing the kit, but incorporating the price with the ticket, but what if you sold the kits separately and maybe had a video? Would you suggest something like that as well? Because I just thought about that. I was like, oh, well, you don't have to do all of it live. If people still want to buy the kit, they could buy the kit and they could watch the video that you did on the live, right?
That's a good idea.
Keep the money going. Keep the money going. You don't got to shut it off with the price.
Yes, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I was like, oh, they might be able to just buy the kit and just watch the video. And then they can hear you speaking to everyone, and All right. Well, Michelle says, do you recommend printing out the instructions for them to follow, whether in person or virtual?
Yes. Oh my God. Sorry, y'all. I know every single time. Yes, I highly recommend that you print out instructions. That's what I do. I print out instructions virtually, and then also I mailed the instructions with them. I believe, but virtually I did that, and then in person definitely have the instructions, because again, you want people to be able to follow you, because mind you, you're going to have a lot of people there. Even with 12 people, they're going to have questions. Like I said, they're excited. They're going to have questions, and they're going to really, sometimes they're not even processing what you're saying, because they want to get down to the project. So you want to make sure that you are definitely clear with your instructions. So yes, have the instructions there virtually, and have it with them physically too, in person, so that they can, know how to. I know for me, when I did the perfume ones, I gave them the formula on how to mix up their base note, middle note, and top note. And even with the instructions, I think sometimes people just they overthink. But yeah, having because I
you gave them a little too much. I would have been like, you got one perfume, you got one fragrance oil. Mix that into this oil that I gave you. Boom, bam, bit it. Put that top on. Put a label on it. You done. I'm not base noting, top noting, and I'm not doing that. All of that.
I did. I did.
That's a great experience. I had charge $300 for that.
I should, and honestly, and to be really honest, I think that really made them confused too, because when you start talking again, jargon, industry jargon, and I know some people are familiar with the base note, middle note, top note, but also it's kind of like I think it was a little too much, and like Nikki said she just did one oil, but I really want people to like. Get your three fragrances that you like. Get the 3 fragrances that you like, and you could. They were doing all kinds, so they didn't even get 3 fragrances. It was all over the place, and I learned from that too because it was kind of chaotic at one point. I was like, this is a little too, especially when you're doing it by yourself. It got a little chaotic, and I'm like, yeah. So. Again, I've learned. I walked. Wait, was it I ran? So you guys can walk. Was it I walked? So you guys can run. I don't know. However the saying goes. I walk so you can run. That's what it is. I walk so you guys can run. Yes. Like Nikki's way is a lot easier. Yep, the 10 milliliter bottles. Yep, Bobby. Miss Bobby. Yes. Oh, she said 5 milliliter. I do it not to like too long. I do extra. I like to go out. I like to go all out sometimes with things. And so I want people to have a great experience. And I even have people like, when are you doing your perfume thing again? And I'm like, because I've now gone over the drops. I've gone to like more. Now I'm going to do the candle making. I'm going to save candle making for, I'm going to say, why am I blurry on here? I'm looking at, yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry, y'all. Yes. So I'm sorry, I got totally distracted. I look blurry. I'm watching it on my screen here, and it looks blurry. So I apologize. Sorry, but yes. So 415 is soy is fast. Okay. Yep. How many fragrance apples do you send them? I'm doing your job, Nikki. I'm sorry.
No, I put it up there for you to read it.
Okay. How many fragrance apples do you send them? Cause money. I did 3. I think I did 3.
That's very nice because, like I said, I'm giving you already mixed up fragrance oils. You're gonna have sex on the beach. You're gonna have butt naked. I don't even know why I went to the naked fragrances, but you're gonna have pina colada. You're gonna have roses and whatever. But you're gonna have pre-made whatever, and you just pick from what's there because we're not doing. You're not mixing up a bunch of stuff because you don't know what you're doing.
Right. And they don't really know. And they really don't know either. They don't know. They don't know that that they only need 1 or 2. They don't know. So that's another thing. They don't know that you're only going to give them 2 and that's all they really need. But I give my people, they get 12. So for the perfume bars, I had about the maximum was 12 cents, 12 fragrances. And you get to pick, and I did a variety of scents like woody, fruity, citrus. I try to really give them a good blend of all the family, the 4, 5 family trees, whatever, fragrance families, to get a good mixture. I know I couldn't say it. I was struggling.
Not you. Jules said I so just have to go do that. Remember when I was on when we did the conference and I said you could do anything to make money. You could sell.
You did, yep. Jules, amen. I love it. I love a good lyric, Jay-Z lyric. And it's coming from the rapper, so it's the rapper. It's the Harlem rapper.
Harlem rapper in the building. So Tracy wants to know how much did you charge for virtual?
And that's another thing, y'all. I lowball myself. I know.
With LaRasha, because
I was gonna say I did a LaRasha. I lowball myself. I think My virtual event was 35.
What?
It might have been 40.
And you sent the stuff out?
I did.
And paid for postage? Okay, so we're gonna have a class on the time that you're gonna spend, how much your supplies cost, the postage, because
Yep.
there's no way you could do a $35 class.
It was. I think it was.
Itself might be
it
$35.
might have been. It might have been. I think I did go. I think for the aromatherapy one, I know I went up because aromatherapy oils are a lot more expensive. So I think it was 50. I think, but I still lowballed myself. It was even with that, it was lowball because but I of course know better now. Even with the sip and scent, now that ain't gonna happen now. You can't.
It better not. Not if I'm here.
No.
Not if I'm here.
I would never do that now. I would never do that now. I would never do that now. So yeah.
Plus, you know how to do all your costs and everything like that. You can count your costs.
So this is I haven't done an event probably in 2 years, maybe it might be longer, but I'm a different person now. So I'm not going to lowball myself because I want people to come to my event. I'm going to make sure that I am charging what, because I don't have just the supplies there. I have food. I have all this other stuff going on too. So again, you end up coming out of pocket because you're not charging the amount of that's why I said make sure you're charging the amount of everything and put it in the ticket price because you don't want to be having events just for nothing either. I mean, you can if you want to, but it just, yeah.
Yeah, and this is another reason. Yeah, this is another reason why if you partner with somebody who has a place, somebody who's a restaurant or a bar or both, you don't have to worry about that. You let everybody know beforehand, hey, there's a cash bar, or you can get you some hors d'oeuvres or whatever it is, some sides at the place. So just know that you're gonna come and have a party kind of thing. So
yeah.
Big Mooch wants to know, did you calculate everything before coming up with that price? The shade of it all.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say, ooh, that was real. I felt that shade. I felt it coming in. I did like I was more concerned. Not say more concerned. I knew that I wanted to have like a certain food vendor I wanted there for sure. So I had to make sure, like I thought about that. Like I knew what I wanted, but my pricing strategy now would not be what it was then. It definitely would not have been what it was. And I don't even remember what my pricing strategy was. I think I just remember I want this for food. I know I want the gift bags. I want this. So I said, I'll be about X amount of dollars. Okay, then I should charge. So these numbers were just like arbitrary. They just came up in my head. I'm like being 100% real. Like, because I was afraid if I make my prices too high, they're not going to come.
I think we all get caught up in that.
If I keep it low enough, then they're gonna, they'll come. But then it's like, yeah, they came, but you have all this product that you don't spend, you have all this money you've spent, and you're gonna leave now. You're probably gonna make no profit. And I think your first few events, that I can see that when you're constantly doing events and you're not making money, the whole point is for you to start making money off these things because there's a stream of income. There should be a stream of income for you, not where you even defeated because you're like, shoot, I spent $500. I didn't even make $500 back. Same way you feel like in the market.
I didn't even make $1.
None of that. Same way you feel when you go to the market. You're like, I spent $50 to get into this market, and I didn't sell one candle. So that's how you feel.
And not to mention you were preparing all week or all, for 2 weeks or a month or whatever, just to get to this moment, and it's underwhelming.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely you had your gift bags.
I'm gonna be honest, I went to the dollar store and I got dollar store has some cute stuff. Like if you really go in there with the intent to like get some nice things, like I didn't get no mess. Like I got a journal, I got pens, I had candy, I had this is going on 2.5 years ago almost. So I'm trying to think. So kind of like that, little trinkets that they have there in that stationery aisle. So I had pens, journals, candy, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Now moving forward, virtual, I didn't do gift bags because it's virtual. But in person, definitely. I can't do BCMC type of gift bags. That's a totally that's a
those gift bags are another.
I strive to get to that that BCMC gift bag where you gotta hold a whole. It's a garbage bag full of stuff. It's about as big as a garbage can.
I'm telling you,
dump it off,
and it's heavy.
Yes, Michelle, gift bags too. Yeah, I did. I definitely came out of pocket for my events. So that's the one thing I didn't tell y'all. Yes, you're crazy.
Ain't
So
she?
yeah, that's the one thing I didn't tell y'all. That's the one thing I didn't tell you. I was hyping up the event part, but I didn't tell you that I was shortchanging myself big time, because I was afraid people were not going to come to my event, and that's the worst thing you can do, because sometimes when people see a lower price attached to something that they think is something of, should be of a higher value, they may not come because they're like, oh, janky $20 class. They might say that. I mean, I'm not saying they would say that, they may not. But if the person's looking for, the people that your target audience, again, this is for your target audience. If your target audience is luxury, Terry from Harlem Candle Company is not going to have a $25 candle making class. I guarantee you that if she was to do that. She's not going to have a $25 fragrance, how to make your own perfume. She's not going to have a $25 one. Her brand screams luxury. So I expect to see a luxury price for any kind of masterclass she has. So that's the mindset I have now. It's like going into it, I'm not going to be in here doing an event for $25 anymore. So yeah, I was trying to do it all, but I wanted to do it and people pleasing. And I don't want nobody to think I'm, so, but that's done and plus supplies are now even more expensive. So there's no way I can even try to do an event at that price point.
Right. These supplies are out of control. Out of control. So what are some things that you would suggest, like some key takeaways? So if somebody wants to start their first virtual event, what's the first things that you would tell them to start doing?
The first thing you want to do is research. Definitely research the industry. And when I say industry, most of us already know how the candle industry is, but just do your research on like venues, research on supply, just do your research on event planning, period. Just do your research on what that entails. And also I was going to say this too, use your career, like the stuff that you're doing in your career now, transfer that over into planning your events for yourself. So what I mean by that is if you're a project manager, you can definitely use project management skills for your event. So use your transferable skills that you're using in your career now, or you can take the event planning skills that you have. And I know I'm venturing off. I'll go back to the subject. Use the skills that you have now to transfer them over into what you can do. Use the stuff that you are working a 9-to-5 for. Use that for your own business. If you know how to coordinate projects and stuff on your job, and that's what you're doing, coordinate your own events. So so when I say research, definitely research event planning. Research, just find out, your target audience. If you don't know your target audience, definitely find out who your target audience is. Who are these people that are going to come to this event? What is their price point? Are they willing to pay $55, $75, $100 for my class? Is that something that they will be willing to pay? Are these people most likely going to come in person, or are these people that are going to come virtually? So you definitely want to do your research, because you don't want to do an event and then throw it out there, nobody shows up because you didn't do your due diligence. You didn't research and you didn't look and see and say, okay, this person, based on my audience, these people are usually people that like to stay at home and chill. They don't really like to go out too much. Let me do a virtual event. Or these are people who like to be out. It's summertime, and then be mindful of the season you're in too. Most people are going to be out during the summer. They want things to do. They want fun things to do. They want safe things to do, because a lot of times being outside sometimes can be a little, and they want something fun to do. They might want to be looking for something for date night. You might have some people who are coming in from out of town for Labor Day, so they want something fun to do. Do your research on that. Find out, and then also find out, like, if you want to have an event at a venue, find out where the hot spots are. Find out if your target audience is going to these places. Because if they're already going there, you have an event there is
right.
So definitely start with your research and making sure all your ducks are in a row before you just put an event together. Because what you don't want to do, like I said, is plan an event. You're putting your hard time, effort. You're asking other people to help you, only for it to turn out to be, 2 people show up or 2 people buy a ticket. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely say know your audience and know what they want. Ask them what they want. Do a poll on social media. Would you guys want to do a virtual, in-person, candles, skincare? And that's what I did. I was like, what do you guys want to do? Candle making, skincare? Oh, let me know. So I'm not just throwing stuff out there and nobody's buying it or buying into it because they don't want to do it. They didn't ask for that.
Right. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so being that you said 1 or 2 people go in there, how would you suggest that people advertise their events?
When I posted my events, I did about 30 days in advance, just because for me, I feel like, especially when you're first starting out, people don't necessarily, it's fine to have your core audience, your customers, but you want to get other people in too. You want to get new people in to find out who you are, because your return customers are going to get kind of tired or like, all right, she's doing another candle making class. Mm-hmm. This one out. You want to constantly generate, like I think Jazz said this earlier this week, leads. You want to generate leads. You want to get people coming in, constantly coming in. So I would do a 30-day social media, just posting about your event, telling them what they're going to get for, that's what I felt more comfortable with 30 days. Now, if you have a larger following and you got people that really, all you need to do is post an event a week in advance and they show up, do a week. But I would say, no less than 2 to 3 weeks. I do whole month, but if you feel like you can do it in 3 weeks, do it. But I'd rather do a month. That gives me a little cushion to really iron things out, sell the ticket. People are kind of waiting on, and then be mindful of certain times of the year where people are going to be like, I'm not going to do a candle making class if I know a big artist is coming to do a concert, because most of the time people are saving their money up to go to that concert. Mm-hmm. So just stuff like that, be mindful of, because, or any big festivals that are going on, because I think I mentioned this story before. I did an event years ago where this lady, she hosted her event. I think it was her first event. She hosted her event at the same time a hair festival was going on. Everybody was at the hair festival, and she was looking I felt so bad for her. She was like, well, I just want to let you know, if you guys want to be a part of this next year, I'll give you 50% off on the vendor fee. And I was like, child. No, thank you, sis. I feel bad for you. And this is a learning lesson for you, but everybody was at the hair expo. So you just got to make sure you're mindful of those kind of things, like what's going on. And that's one thing I would say too. One of the things I think about is, if I'm gonna have an event in August, what's happening in August? September, people are going back to school. End of August, people are going. Now here in Minnesota, school doesn't start until September. But if you're in other states where school starts late October, August.
August.
You want to make sure you're mindful of that too, because people are gonna be that $55 for your class. They're gonna be thinking that's my kids' clothing money for back to school clothes. So keep that in mind. Keep those kind of things in mind when you're planning an event. Any major holidays, festivals, especially if you live in a smaller area, because here in Minnesota, just based on the population, sometimes in our community, if one person's having something, most of the time everybody in the community is going to be at that event. When there's 4 and 5 people having events on the same day, it's always when I used to go out a lot, I'm like, ain't nobody here because they're all at the event that was such and such just right. It's kind of like the popular one, so everybody's gonna be at that event. So keep that in mind. Like I said, do not post candle events. If you know Usher's coming in town on Saturday, you may not want to do an event on Saturday because people are gonna be at the concert. So stuff like that, I try to be mindful of, because you want people to show up, and you want them to show up and have that, not feel like they got to be torn between your event and going somewhere else. And chances are, if it's something like a Usher concert or Beyonce concert, they're going to that.
So Kim wants to know, would you recommend 2 to 3 candle makers to come together to share a space and create our own pop-up, or would this defeat the purpose?
Would you recommend 2 to 3 candle makers come together, share a space, and create a... Yes. Oh, pop-up. I'm thinking of, okay, yes.
Like a candle time with 3 of them, 2 to 3 of them.
Yes, I was thinking of like do a candle making class. I totally had that confused. Yes, I think you could, because we all buy from each other, and there's no reason why other people can't buy a candle from Kim, buy a candle from Keisha, and buy a candle from whoever else is who else is in Cali? Miss Bobby. Yeah,
Bobby.
Yep. So so there's no reason why you guys can't come together and have a pop-up at all, and have your and have something. Yes, collaboration. Again, we're not, I used to think like this too. If it can't, if I collaborate with another candle maker, that scarcity mindset, that mindset that they're only, not that there can only be one, but it's kind of like we feel like if we collaborate with somebody that does the same thing, that takes away. And this is like my younger entrepreneur self, like when I first started. And now I'm realizing that people, like, we all, me, you, Jules, we all like buy from each other. And we all make candles, and I buy from Miss Kim, I buy from Christmas, I buy from other different ones. So it's not like you can't have an event with other and I think more of us are starting to learn that. Crabs in the barrel. We're starting to learn that we can have these events together and do the same thing, and nothing is not going to harm anybody. It's not going to take away from us. We can all eat. We can all, and we all do something different. Miss Kim's candles are different than Miss Bobby's candles. So everyone has their own different lane too. So definitely do a pop-up with 2 to 3 other candle makers, and you guys are now bringing your communities together.
Yep.
That's a whole nother sub community. We the 3 candle lady,
and y'all could take y'all show on the road. Take your show right on the road. We're gonna talk about that. Say it again.
I said I don't buy just one kind of candle.
Right.
I buy different ones. So, like I said, Miss Kim's candle looks different than Miss Bobby's and than the Keisha. So somebody be like, oh, I got a candle from her. I got a candle from her. And I got all 3, and it's 3 of y'all, so it ain't like it's 10. Now, if it's 10, it might be a little, but yeah.
Might be a little bit overwhelming, but we're gonna talk about that more tomorrow on Coffee with Nikki about creating your own pop-up events, and this is a way to build up the community, because again, you want to make sure that your community is thriving, because that's who's going to support you. The money has to circulate within the community. Same thing with a skin folk. We have to support each other. The money has to circulate here. It doesn't serve us if it's out there in other communities. We have to learn. And I know a lot of us have. This is why I don't like to work with my own people. But then you need to find your people that you can work with, because that cannot be the option, because other people do it.
Yep. And you can definitely go ahead, Nikki.
No, I was just saying we all have to, we can all do it, just the same as candle makers. We could figure out how to have a couple candle makers at an event. If y'all friends, you could say, and you guys are, and you could say, hey, I'm going to have these kind of candles. Okay, so then I know I'm not going to have those candles because I want to give you the spotlight on that. I'm going to have these kind of candles, and if somebody's interested in something else, point them to the website.
Yep. And I think that's a great idea. And I think that's something that you guys should capitalize on, Ms. Kim, too. If I know California doesn't have the kind of weather we have you can get a venue. You can do something inside. You don't always have to do something outside. You can do something inside where you guys come together. And that's what, like I said earlier, when my cousins and I decided to do our thing, it was 3 of us, and we went together to the venue to talk to them about potentially hosting us for our events or having us house our event in their space. So again, you just have, and then you guys can, y'all come together, get y'all proposal together. You guys can, to the venue, and I can already see that being a amazing event, having you guys, who all is involved in it, plan their own. You guys have a candle event. That's amazing. I love that idea. I love that idea.
And
they're already getting
it together. But what I would suggest is, especially since this is the first event, is to keep overhead very, 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 very low. Find friends. Out of all of you guys, one of you guys have a friend that you can use their event space, restaurant, bar, something, backyard. It could even be a backyard. You know what I'm saying? But utilize places where it already have that stuff there. It's already have, like I said, table and chairs. It already has the building. They already have the food. You don't have to go and buy food because they have food. Just let your people know there's food there, there's drink there. And that way y'all can make some money instead of all the money that you make going into food and into the venue and stuff like that.
Right. And that's what I learned too. I try, that's why I'm telling you guys, do things on a smaller scale. You can still have nice things, but just do it on a smaller scale. And what I did was I went big right away. And, and it was a lesson learned. And it again, you don't want to be out of pocket every single time you do an event, because that defeats the purpose of having an event. You always have to be hundreds of dollars out of pocket. Then it's like, what is the point of it? So you got to reassess, where's my money going? I might have to cut back on food this time. It might, and see, my mom is part of the issue too, because she was like, well, what are you serving at this event? And I was like, well, I'm gonna have, you're gonna have, because my mom was kind of bougie, so she was like, you're gonna have that, people are paying money, and you. So then I'm like, so then again, do what your pockets tell you to do, but make sure it's nice. You don't have to do anything. You don't got to go to Ruth Chris for your food, but you definitely want to make sure it's something nice that people can say. Now, you don't want to throw stuff together like I would. Now, this is just me. I wouldn't serve Jimmy John's sandwiches at my event, because if I'm saying I'm a luxury event, I'm not going to serve that. But for someone who's doing an event where people, that's in their, that's their target market, we don't care, that's fine. So I'm not downing that. I'm just saying, make sure that it matches your who you say you are. Make sure it matches that.
And again, use your network. I tell you that all the time. The reason why you build connection with people is so that you can build your network. So they're using you use them as well. That's what you make connections for. You're like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Well, they have a restaurant and they need customers. So guess what? You're not bothering them. You're bringing them some work.
They will, and now I think is a perfect time, because so many businesses are struggling. Having because candle making is such a major, it's like a lot of people want to know how to make candles, and candles will never go out of style. Like, candles are never going to go out of style. Candles have been around since the 1800s, since like the early, the history tells us how far back candles go. So candles are never going to go out of style, and people keep reinventing things. People keep reinventing the wheel and changing it up, and the trends there's so many different trends. Right now we're in a trend where people are making dessert candles. People are making candles like that look like, I think it was, I keep forgetting her name, Charismatic Candles. What was her name?
DC.
I think of her name. She had a Starbucks thing, and it looks so real. Whatever it was that she just posted recently, it looks so real. So that's like the thing now, the dessert candles, and people are doing all kinds of like fun things. So it's never going to go out of style. So you can always think of ways of reinventing, how you do candles, or and so that you might feel like, well, everybody's been doing candle making classes. Make it your own. Do something fun. Do something, unique that nobody else is doing in their candle making classes to make yours stand out. So when it comes to like collaborating with other venues, I'm telling you, they're going to be receptive to it, because like candle making classes, and then they'll be like, yeah, I always wanted to make a candle making class. My wife or my husband always wanted to make a candle making class. I'm going to have her come. So you start then it snowballs. It snowballs because now people are like, they want that business. They want you to bring because you're bringing other people into their business, because I'm not saying every restaurant or every venue's failing, but a lot of them are struggling, and they want to get that new business, or they want to get somebody in that can, fresh face or something exciting. They might even thought about having a candle making class in their restaurant. You come into them saying, hey, I was thinking, my name is, you introduce yourself, what you do, and you say, I was thinking about, I've been to your restaurant before, I love it, and wondering, have you ever had anybody, do a candle making class, or however you want to word it, and just make sure it's something compelling to make them want to do it. Don't shoot yourself, down and be like, well, don't be confident, but yeah. And they'll be like, yeah, or let me get back to you. Let me talk to my team about that. And then before you know it, and then it could be a recurring thing where you come every month or every 3 months, whatever.
And believe me, like I said, once you start bringing customers into them, they'll let you have anything. I can ask my deli that's up, around here, my local deli. I can ask them for anything. They'll let me sit outside the front of their thing during business hours, the front of their store, selling things, getting vendors out there because they got a big, huge front. And then after hours, when the store's closed, they'll let me come in. They'll stay in till 9, 10 o'clock. Like, they'll let you do anything as long as if they can see that they're going to get something out of it, because remember, everybody wants something for them.
Yep. So the options are definitely endless when it comes to planning your own events. And this is not to say that you have to totally abandon markets and things like that. But for me, I just saw like a shift that I wasn't cool with it anymore. And I was like, and I had already been doing events, but this really solidified me. I'm like, I probably won't be doing markets here. Just because of and I think it's not just here where I'm at. I think a lot of people are experiencing that. So I think like I said, the opportunity is there. You don't have to do just candles. Like I did. I was making candles, but I decided to do something different and do something easy that I felt like, who doesn't like perfume? Who doesn't want to make their own perfume?
And who doesn't throw stuff in their bag wanting to smell good every, you might have come from the gym or something. You need to freshen up a little bit before you go back to work or something.
And they'll tell you, the people that have gone to my events have said, I have my fragrance on that I wore. People want to feel unique. So when I named it like your signature fragrance, you get to create your signature fragrance. People like to feel like they have something exclusive, and they like, I get to make a scent that's just for me, that I created myself, and only I'm going to smell like this. I don't like smelling like other people now. I might, have the same. Now, I think once me and Jules had the same fragrance. For the conference, we was both feeling Terry's links. I think it was links, and we both had it at the same time. That happens, that happens. But people want to, for the most part, smell different than everyone else. So this is a perfect opportunity, or have a candle that no one else has, or have a skincare product that that doesn't smell like, people want to be unique, and we want to feel like a personalized experience. So I think having these types of events will definitely make people feel it feels exclusive. Number one, because you have a smaller group, and that's another reason why you want to have a smaller group. You want it to feel exclusive, you want it to feel intimate, and you want it to feel like, when people have questions, you're not having 20 people ask questions at one time. You have people asking questions, but it's going to be a lot more manageable when it's just 1 or 2 people asking questions. And most of the time, they all have the same questions. You just want to make sure that you're able to address everyone in a way to where it's not overwhelming. Because when you have 25 people in one class, 10 people over here got a question, 10 people, there's 5 people over here that know what they're doing, and then there's another 5 over here that just confused. And that just becomes too much. And that becomes too much, even for 2 people. And then you have to get more people to help you with the event. So yes, Langston is everything. Yes, I agree. So that's why I feel like you need to start small, because it's about the experience, and you don't want people to leave being like, I had questions, but she couldn't answer them because she was too busy answering the other 10 people over there. They had questions. And so you leave, you want the overall goal is for your guests, your attendees, to feel like they went to an exclusive event where they were able to they want to feel happy. Like, if we say scents and all that kind of stuff is supposed to make people happy, that's what the experience should be. It shouldn't be where you leaving like, shoot, I don't even think I did this right, because that does happen. They were like, I don't think I did it right. But when you're there, you're a guide. You're a guide to help them with making their candles. Because I've done it all. I've done candles. I've done perfumes. I've done skincare. I've done all those events. So there's different types of things you have to deal with each. Well, I would say with candles. Candles is a lot different than making this. Because again, they have so many questions, and one of the ladies, she was there. She said, I want to make my own candles. She said, that's why I'm taking this class, because I want to eventually make my own candles to sell. I think she said she wanted to sell them too. Start her own candle business. She did say that she wanted to start her own candle business. So again, think about the fact that you're helping someone realize a goal and reach their dreams. So you kind of feel like from that perspective, you feel like a sense of accomplishment, because you're like, wow, I really helped somebody that was thinking about making candles. Now they want to make a candle business. They want to start their own candle business. So I think that's the rewarding part of it too. It's not all about making money. It's about the rewarding factor that, some people may come in feeling down. They might be feeling, whatever. And they come in and they make a something this small, and they leave out feeling happy, excited, can't wait to wear it. People at my job was asking me, what was I wearing? Oh, I made this at an event. This is how it goes. It just, I made this at an event, and the person goes, oh, when's the next one? Then they texting you. One of my coworkers wants to know when's your next. So it just goes on and on and on. So I definitely think it's worth a shot for you to start your own events. It does not have to be anything where you have to do 5 events in one month. Just try it out to see if that's for you. But again, do that test run. Get some family and friends together and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. And be careful. Also, be careful. Just with be careful who you share your ideas with too, because if you're planning on doing something and then somebody turns around and be like, and then all of a sudden you see that
I'm gonna do that too. I was doing that.
Right. So, and you can't stop people, but it's like, just be careful of that too. But for the most part, your family and friends that you trust, that you're telling them what the goal is. The goal is for me to eventually make this a live event, and I want you guys to do a run through with me. People love that kind of stuff. And then also I wanted to add too, for one of my events, my cousin, she plans events for like her church and stuff. So at this time I was doing events by myself, and that's just too much. It's just too much doing it by yourself. So she was like, I can help you with your event. She said, 'cause my mom was getting on me about not getting help. And so she was like, I can help you with your event. So the next one that I did, she was like the coordinator. Like, she helped me coordinate a lot of the stuff there. So implement those types of people in your planning that can help you execute these events, because it's hard executing an event by yourself or it sounds good in the vision. It sounds good on paper. But when you actually have to plan it out, it becomes a lot of work, and you want to have as many people that can help you so that the event goes without, there were times when I did my perfume events, it was kind of a bit of confusion because, again, you had the people that knew what they were doing, then there were people who had tons of questions, and you had the people that were confused, and it was just a lot. So I had to learn from that experience on how to, I need to have trained people on how to help in these events, so they know how to give, guidance to the attendees, the guests that are coming, so that I'm being stretched thin because I'm trying to take payments for candles. I'm trying to help this person figure out how to do their scent. So, yeah.
This was awesome. Is there anything that you would like? Anybody else has any questions? Is there anything else that you may have forgotten that you want to leave with our attendees and let them know about having their own events?
Yeah. So what I would say is definitely it's a rewarding experience. If you're a person that likes to plan, definitely hone in on that. And I also believe that this is a good way to diversify, because as Nikki says often in Coffee with Nikki, a lot of, we can't just have one thing. You have to have, I think they said each millionaire has like 7 streams of income.
They say 7, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 7. So you want to have that stream of income, because now if you know planning events really isn't your thing, don't do it. Don't do it just because somebody's saying you should do it. No, because we know who we are. We know deep down inside what we can do and what we're not going to do. I like planning events, so this kind of like, I get excited. But if you know you're somebody that does not like planning events, you rather just go set up at a market and sell and come home, that is fine. That is totally fine. But if you're somebody like me who really wants to, you sell your candles online, you're doing wholesale, private label, but now you want to do another stream, this is a perfect way to get that stream of income, is to do. And again, you don't have to be in an actual, you can do it online through Zoom. It's that simple. And you can either, like we all got leftover supplies hanging around somewhere that we're not using, fragrance oils we're not using. So there's really no excuse. If that's what you want to do, is no excuse as to why you can. And I'm also here to help. If you have questions, or you're trying to plan your first event and you have questions and you're nervous, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Like I said, you guys, I will have that PowerPoint for you with all the information on how you guys can reach out. And, I will guide you through that process, because I like doing it. I love planning events, and I love, like, being in that process from vision to execution. And I think just even like with the conference, the BCMC conference, that was a huge feat for us. And just seeing how things went from us planning this event in San Diego in the hotel room after partying all night with Nikki's birthday, to that event being executed the way it did, is just like the hustle and bustle, the going back and forth. And it just, that's you kind of get a rush from it too. That's how I do. I get a rush from it. You get a rush from it. So that was a mouthful, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel I want to leave you guys with. And any questions you have, please feel free to DM me or email me at info@fluorescence.com. I'm more than happy to answer questions for you, because I know a lot of this, there's so much more to this that I didn't even get to. I had a whole list of notes. But I'm definitely, I did. I had a lot to say about this, but I appreciate all your questions, because these are good questions. And I really want us to start taking control over the market, because I know a lot of us sometimes feel, I've heard so many people this year say, I went to a market and it wasn't anything what I thought it was. I paid money, or I'm glad it was free, because if it wasn't free, I would have, I would have been out of, I wouldn't have made any money. And we don't have to live like that. We can definitely take control over that. And the work will be a lot more work on us, but it's more rewarding, because you get to have control over, you don't have to leave without selling anything, because you're going to sell something at your own event.
You're going to sell it if you're going to be there. Yeah.
You're going to sell. And you don't have to worry about some strangers may or may not stop at your booth and sell and buy your stuff. Right. You don't have to worry about that.
Right. That's awesome. And I appreciate you so much for sharing your time with us, sis Shontelle. Please tell everybody how to follow you on social media.
I am on Instagram.
Tell everybody everything.
Yes, I'm on Instagram at Fluorescence, and then my website is www.fluorescence.com. Facebook, same at Fluorescence, and TikTok, Fluorescence Candles. I think that's pretty much all of them. Those are the platforms I'm on.
And so I'll either see you tomorrow for Coffee with Nikki, or I'm going to see you tomorrow evening, because it's the 4th birthday of BCMC. So we will be live tomorrow. I'm on the world tour with these lives. This week was crazy with the lives.
I'm telling you, and y'all be going off in them lives. Y'all need to get a schedule and send it to us, so we know when. And I love how we do. I said this earlier too. If I'm on live with somebody and I know I'm gonna send it out to the people that our community, I'll send it out to everyone else, and then they send me live. My inbox is full of live reposts and stuff like that. So I love how we support each other in that, because going live can be very scary at times, and then sometimes when you go live, you want people to be there. You want an audience. Sometimes people say, "Oh, it does." You want some people. You want support, and so I love how we support each other. But yes, catch us tomorrow on All Up in Your Wax. BCMC birthday, 4 years.
4 years.
4 years of us, and I can't believe it's been 4 years and we've made so much progress. We really did our big one. I'm a brag.
Mm-hmm. And it's happened in the last 2 years.
Yes.
Happened in the last 2 years. And also, there's a $250 fragrance giveaway with what is it, the Candle Maker store?
Yes, I think that sounds about right. Candle making, I think so. Sorry.
So you guys make sure that you go on ahead, follow Black Candle Makers Club, and there is a reel up. Follow the reel, tag 2 people. I think you have to follow the Candle Makers Club, BCMC, and you have to tag 2 people. Do it. And they're gonna announce the winners on August 31st. So you gotta be in it to win it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, be in it to win it. Be in it.
So we'll see. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes. If you guys have any questions about tomorrow's tomorrow. Tomorrow's already Friday. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. And I think do we announce who's gonna be on Open Your Wax, or do they? She's already posted it.
Did.
Yeah,
and she did. Is Deltra still in here?
Yes, Deltra is going to be on
tomorrow.
Yes, Deltra's gonna be on tomorrow. I'm excited about that because y'all, some of y'all was acting real scary, and we had to finally
get it together.
Deltra, I'm looking forward to it. So yes.
I'm so serious. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I hope that you got a lot of valuable information from this. If anything, go back and catch the replay. If you are in the replay gang, go on ahead and hashtag us replay gang. Follow us on all social media. We are Bubble Babes, BABEZ. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be back on YouTube, not on our channel, but we'll be back with Black Candle Makers Club, BCMC, for the for our 4th birthday party. And so I'm super excited. Super excited. Don't forget, there's a $250 fragrance prize out there. And yeah, that's it. Bobby said, that's my coach. Bobby!
Yes. Yes. Candle Collective.
Okay.
Hey. Love my Candle Collective. All right,
everybody. So thank you. And thank you again, sis. I'll see you in the morning.
Bye.